how comparable would you say this experience is with building and designing here to the block?
It's been a hell of a lot slower here.
So in the block's like maximum stress.
Yes.
And building your own house is like easy, nice stress, you know, like you can deal with it.
We survived the block. We didn't get a divorce on the block, so this was going to be a walk in the park for us.
We got a divorce.
We got a divorce.
We were fighting over whether or not the door should have been, you know, going onto the living room from the hallway.
They labelled it as a divorce.
Yeah, and who was right? The door should not have been there. I was right about that.
Have you been following this year's season? And what are your thoughts?
The 1910s house looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the Art Deco. It's pretty cool.
You wanted to do Art Deco again?
Well, it's early 1900s, but I suppose if you're going to pick something different, you'd have to go 50s or something like that.
50s or 1910s, I reckon.
The bookend house on either end gives you a bit more privacy.
Yeah, whatever the bookend is, because that's the...
I like the way you think.
Yeah.
You're always thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
There's a lot of strategy in the block.
There is, and especially like when we picked our apartment as apartment number 3.
That's right, you had first choice as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people were questioning your commitment to
why
that.
didn't you pick a penthouse?
Yeah.
Do you regret not picking a penthouse? The amount of times we heard that, I was like, come on guys, just come up with some new material.
Yeah, I think what they didn't see was we actually went in thinking, okay, for the market, a penthouse that's smaller but has a higher reserve isn't, like, your chances of winning are quite low, whereas our apartment had a really big floor space, bigger than the penthouses.
Yep, and that does matter.
And it had the same lookout point as the penthouse as well, but the reserve was going to be cheaper, and we knew that, and so that's why we picked apartment 3. And obviously the acoustics as well, it was fully concrete.
But also we wanted to renovate, you know, not just stand around while they put up a true core steel frame. We wanted to renovate the old Gatwick. How many times in your lifetime do you get a chance to do that?
No, never.
So,
I agree.
And we knew we were going to do this modern build, so we wanted to have a crack at an Art Deco sort of style fit out, which would suit the Gatwick from when it was built, and that was our thing, you know.
Well, 1-0 to Hayden and Sara, 0 to the critics.
Yeah,
so I'm glad you stuck with your guns.
Yeah.
And you've done the right thing here as well.
And we've brought the influences, like I said before, we've brought the influences from Gatwick into here as well, but they're our signature. That's what we do, it's who we are. We don't necessarily have a specific style that we adhere to. Obviously we can do different styles, but there are signature pieces throughout our house that are just us.
And you know what, that's important too, especially when you're doing this for profession like you both are now, that you're able to morph for your clients and for your surroundings.
Exactly, exactly,
100%.
yeah. Well, Hayden's my client.
Yeah. How's it going?
Wow. Wow.
Divorce?
Oh, there will be another divorce soon. No,
I'm pretty picky, I'm fussy.
He is very fussy, but there's been a common ground, or we've always found a middle ground, that a lot of compromisation.
I enjoy my time
listening to us
at work when Hayden comes in to choose grout. So for me, the process begins with, what do you think? And then we evolve to different sections of the shop, because lighting is a really big thing.
Yeah.
But
and then he asks you for a sample.
20, 30 minutes later, we've got one grout colour. So you're thorough, you're very thorough, I have to give you that. And you can tell with your finishes, all jokes aside, you've got a keen eye, you're precise, with Sara backing you in the styling. This is going to turn out to be a real cracker.
What am I like when I go into the shop?
You know exactly what you like.
Thank you.
You don't sugarcoat anything, which we like. Transparency is key.
Good.
If you don't like it, everyone knows about it. If you like it, we all know about it. It's like a love. It's constant love. It's Italian. I'm also married to an Italian, so I completely understand the passion.
She's a tad impulsive with the decisions, though, I think.
I wouldn't exactly say that. I mean, downstairs with our bathroom, I showed you the tiles that I liked and what worked together. And okay, you had to ask about 50 other people their advice, but we got there in the end.
50?
Yeah.
I thought it was like 100.
It was more like 100. Jono, all my interior design friends.
The vertical offset on the short end in the kids' bathroom was something that Hayden and I thought, is it going to work? But you stuck to your guns and it
Stuck
looks
to my
really
guns.
good.
I reckon. I really like it.
Yeah, no,
I
it
mean,
looks great.
I have seen it in a smaller version, like in the smaller tile version, but because our ceilings are so high, I wanted to accentuate that even further and make it look extravagant. So the fact that you're doing this with your neck, just to see the top, I really feel like it's
What are you doing?
this with your neck. Like it really kind of, I don't know, I like it. I mean, you always want to accentuate height anyway,
Yeah.
so it's not a 3 metre high ceiling, but you would think it is.
Well, it's you know, with the vertical offset, there aren't that really many ways you can play with the subway, but I do like what you've done there,
Yeah.
and it does bring attention to the feature wall.
Yeah.
And also the Stardust Milk being that soft, you know, off-white tone really does a good job of, you know, blending in with the surroundings.
Well, I definitely think the flex in the feature wall as well really match with the Stardust
Yeah,
on the
agree.
floor. So it's a feature wall, but it's not an in-your-face feature wall that just doesn't make sense. It actually makes sense in the bathroom and it flows with the Stardust on the floor.
If you had your time again and you got an opportunity to go on the block, what would you do differently?
Not listen to my husband.
I know you're going to say that.
And
She says that, but I chose the apartment that ultimately got us to win.
well, that's true. That's true. But I would never ask for his advice. And that's what I was doing a lot on the block. And I had to ask for his advice on tiles, specific tiles, because he was building the bathrooms, you know, to a certain width and length and stuff. So there were certain tiles that I kind of had to adhere to, but everything else I'd be like, just let me do my thing.
Yeah.
What was
Probably
that?
have your back more than you'd have mine.
I don't know. What would you do?
I'd probably get like 3 months of extra sleep before I started on there because that was a hard thing.
He'd really prep himself.
Yeah, no, it was pretty mentally and physically grueling, the block. So you really got to be prepared. I definitely was underprepared, thinking that, you know, the amount of work in the short time frame that you got to do, it's more like construction survivor than the block. That's what I would
Yeah,
say.
Yeah,
But
it
the
a
is.
good way of looking
experience
at it.
is,
It's something that the viewers and us ourselves at home don't actually appreciate how much labour or lack of sleep, I guess.
Well, you've had
So
people
much
come into
involved.
your shop and say, oh, like how long does it take to get tiles come in?
Yeah.
And then you give them a time frame and they're like, oh, why can't I have this already? Like, and I think it's because they get that perception from the block where everything is just
like,
Rapidly.
click your fingers and
click
it
your fingers and
happens.
it's done. But in the real world, like even now for us, like we've had to wait for product. It's just because the block is the block, and you know, it does give a false representation of time frames.
Yeah.
And I think people just really kind of need to realise that in the real world, even for ex-blockheads, you know, it's normal paced. It takes 2 or 3 weeks to build a bathroom rather than just one.
Yeah, 4 days.
Yeah, 4 days.
Can't you do a house in 2 months, hey?
Yeah, it can be done, but I mean, when you're building a house, and especially a house like what we're building, a real specky house, you have to take your time.
That's right. The time is in the detail.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure you having me today.
Yeah, thanks for coming to visit.
We'll definitely be back to see the finished product.
You have to come. Can't wait.
Look forward to it.
See you
Champagne.
at Christmas.
Until stage 2. We'll see you guys later.